Welcome to Q&A practice. We'll start with plaintiff attorney. Ready? Here we go. Sir, in front of you is exhibit number 79. Could you tell us what that is, please? This is an overhead photo of a partial view of the Avery land, and you know that aerial photo. Yes, I do, and as I said, I think this will work better today. I'm hopeful anyway. The jury is now seeing exhibit number 79. Is that right? Yes. And will this photo help you explain some of the inside or at least large-scale searches from within that land? Yes, it will. All right. How were search teams grouped? As I said, the people would be provided to me, but be it state troopers or deputies or firemen, we would then break them down into groups of about 10 each, and we would have a leader for that group who would just be a deputy from the Calumet Sheriff's Department. We would arrange everything through that officer, and then he would give the people under him the information that they needed, and they would report to him anything that they found. I know that you said law enforcement and some others, but what other type of people were used in these search efforts? Volunteer firemen, referring then to exhibit number 79. Describe it, if you will, the first large-scale search operation. The first large-scale search operation was in the salvage yard. It was on Sunday afternoon. We used about 50 firemen. Along with at least a dozen officers broke them into groups. There are about 4,000 salvaged cars on the property. We had the firemen go through the salvaged cars, opening the trunks and hoods of every car. That first search was when? I'm sorry, that was Sunday the 6th. Yes. What were you looking for? We were looking for a body, referring again to exhibit number 79. Could you show us the cars that you are talking about? Everything down in this area up through here around. It just goes a little further back to this side, but these are all salvaged cars. There's a few up in this area here. Were you present during that large-scale search? Yes, I was. And what was needed to look in these cars as far as what? To open them? Yes, the firemen used crowbars, or they used their tools that they had with them, and they would open the trunks and the hoods, just verify that there wasn't a body inside the car. On the 6th of November, was every car searched? That is all 4,000 cars? Yes, they were. Was some method that you or somebody else used for how you knew a car was searched or not? The individual groups had crime scene tape or had caution tape. They would either mark each car as they searched them, or as you can see, the cars are in a fairly big group. One group would start on the end. They would work their way to the other end, and then they would mark the two ends with caution tape so that everyone would know that that group of cars had been searched. All right. What was the next large-scale search that you were involved in doing on the property? Yes, the next large-scale search was on Tuesday. It had 60 state troopers and about 35 volunteer firemen. They went through all of the cars again. This time they were doing a thorough search of the entire car. This is a different kind of search than on the 6th. Yes, it is. What was the scope of the search? This search, they were looking for some items. They were looking for the license plates from Sue Hall's car. They were looking for a tool. She had a tool kit in her car, and there was a tool missing from it. They were looking for that, and then they were looking for any items that may have belonged to her or would be of any value. So they were doing a much more thorough search. And again, do you know that all 4,000 cars were searched? Yes, they were. Exhibit number 79 shows parts of the entries. How is it that cars would travel from within or throughout the inside of the salvage yard? Do you understand the question? You mean once they were in the yard? Yeah. Talk about the road within the yard itself. Okay, in between each group of cars, you can see these are all roads through here. They kind of work their way through the land. It's just a dirt road that you can drive on. There's a gap between the cars. You can drive through it. That's what they used for their road. So it's no formal road. The roads could change depending on where they put the cars, but it was an opening through the dirt that was used to drive on. Are you familiar with a close property which is called Rad Quarry? Yes, I am. Again, referring to exhibit 79. If you could tell us where that is found. Rad has, let's see, this is north on this end. Rad has an active quarry from here down, which would be to the west. They also had a quarry on the south end, which would be in this area here. From Rad's quarry, or from at least the access corner, the corner that would attach Rad's to Avery's. Did you go to that corner, to that location? Did you just stand in that location? Yes, I did. And are you able, and were you able to see Mr. Avery's trailer and garage from that corner? Yes, you can. I'm going to show you what has been, or have you looked have you look at what's been marked as exhibit number 80. Tell us what that is. This is a view of Mr. Avery's house from the south. Would that be near Rad's property line? Yes, it's just his land, his house is right here. This view is from somewhere in this area, I would think. All right, have the jury look at exhibit number 80. Tell us what we're looking at here, please. This is the backside of Mr. Avery's house and his separate garage. Now, I note that, and tell me if I'm right or not. Is there a grade difference between Mr. Avery's and Rad's land? There's a berm between the two properties, and then on Rad's side it goes straight down into the quarry. It's probably a 15 to 20 foot drop into the quarry. All right, I'm just going to have you mark or describe these next exhibits, some aerial photos. What is exhibit number 81? This is a view, an aerial view of the Avery land from the northeast. It would be Avery Road coming into the northeast corner of the land. We'll have the jury take a look at exhibit 81. Is that a picture of 81? Yes. With your laser pointer, could you describe the buildings that we're looking at? By the way, let me put in a question. Did you become in that 7 or 8 days familiar with all of the buildings on this land? Yes, I did. All right, looking at exhibit number 81, can you tell us, identify the buildings that are located there? Starting at the top, there's a fenced in area in here. It's an impound area. There is a large shed in there that is an impound storage. I think it's a metal shed. And then there's a small garage down in this area. It's also used for storage. This is a long, narrow shed that was used for heavy equipment storage. Down in the trees here would be Alan D. Avery's house, and there's also a separate garage in there too. I think it would be right there. This is an office area and a work area. We referred to it as the new office. And then there's another work area back in here that was referred to as the old office area that was used. Beginning your testimony, Mr. Bowe, you talked about a command post being used. Does exhibit number 81 show that area? Yes, it does. Could you describe that for the jury, please? The command post that we used was in this area. That's where we arranged our large-scale searches. We also had talks there. There was also a command post located up here that was used by the search team, so it was more of a work area for them. Does exhibit number 81 also show an access road? That is how you would get to the Avery land from Highway 147. Yes, it does. This road right here is Avery Road. There's a paved road coming in that dead ends at the land, and if you turn right on that road, where does that take you? This is a gravel drive that runs through the length of the property, and it would end at Steve Avery's house. Mr. Bowe, are you familiar with the corner of the land that not only has a pond, but from which Sue Hall's car was found? Yes, I am. Have you look at exhibit number 82, please, and tell us what that is, please. This is an aerial view from the east of the southeast corner of the land where the pond was and where Sue Hall's car was found. And does it correctly show that corner? Yes, it does. I will have the jury then look at number 82. With your laser pointer, tell us what we're looking at, please. This is Rad's quarry to the south. There is an open field to the east. The view is from the east. This is just a little more than half of the property. This is a low area in the salvage yard where a lot of the runoff goes into a small pond. There's a berm up behind that, and Sue Hall's car was found up in this area. Does this exhibit also show the car crusher? Yes, it does. It's down right here. All right, are you familiar with what would be the northwest corner of the land? That is the area where Mr. Avery's house was. Yes, I am. And could you look at exhibit number 83, please, and tell us what that is? This is an aerial photo from the north looking south on to the Avery land and the Rad quarry. That's just west to it. I will have the jury now look at exhibit number 83. Tell us what we're looking at. Once again, this is one of Rad quarries. This was an active quarry at the time. This is Steve Avery's house and garage, and this would be Barb Janda's house and garage, and we have got about half of the salvage yard too. Does this photo, that is exhibit number 83, show a second entry into the Avery land? Yes, it does. Could you describe that for the jury, please? There's a gravel road that comes up through here that connects all the quarries and runs down to Rad's working plant. There is a belt that runs along the middle of that road and then runs into the Avery land where the Avery land and Rad's meet. There is a passageway to drive a car through there. You talked about security being present on 4 corners of the land. How many corners of the land in which security was present? 24 hours. Does this exhibit show 2? And could you tell the jury, please, where law officers were present. There was an officer right down in this area at the end of the road in front of Steve Avery's house, and there was also an officer right down in this area just before it splits to go into the two quarries here in this corner. I don't know if I asked this well enough when you described the purpose, but why were you trying to secure the four corners of the land? When we had taken control of the land, we wanted to keep that through the entire time that we were there. We also wanted to assure that nobody else came into the land. The corner of the Avery land that includes Mr. Avery's house, is that shown also in exhibit number 84, the next exhibit? Yes, it is. Can you describe what exhibit 84 is, please? This is an aerial photo from the southeast showing the northwest corner of the Avery land, and then the outside properties from there. I will have the jury look at exhibit 84, and if you would be so kind as to tell them what we're looking at. This is the same quarry for Rad that we had looked at. This is an open field. This would be Stephen Avery's house. This would be Barb Jana's house. And then we're seeing the start of the salvage yard, at least as to the west and as to the northwest. Does exhibit 84 show the outside or other properties? Yes, it does. Now, there was something yesterday that we heard from Mr. Austin. It was called a deer camp. Does exhibit 84 show that? Yes, it does. The deer camp is right in this area. Just for the record, you are pointing to what would be the almost uppermost and leftmost corner of the exhibit. Is that right? Yes. What did that consist of, and what are we looking at? If you can tell us. That was a camp that Rad used. They own most of the land around this area, and they used that for deer hunting. It consisted of 3 mobile homes that they had set up for deer hunting or something of that nature. All right, Mr. Bowe, you talked about the different berms or the different grade around Mr. Avery's land when referring to exhibit number 84. Could you describe that a little bit further, please? The berm on the west, you just want me to refer to? All right, we will stop there, and that will conclude our Q&A practice.